Hi everybody, Mark Kirby again. Some other things I wanted to cover for Accounting 6. This is really some visual access issues with Excel, ways to make it easier for you to move data around, look at data, work with data on the screen. Really has nothing to do with functions or formulas. It's all about, can I see it, can I look at it, can I play with it, how can I analyze my data, okay? Probably kind of late to do this in the semester, so I hope this one you'll look at early. Yeah, I'm going to get this video up so you can watch it early. So, let's just start. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Here's my data from the Daily Sentinel where we did some analytical data analysis stuff. Okay, this is all nice, neat, and cool, but we're going to use it just because I have it here and we can play with it a little bit. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is column width. I've seen students do column width or not do column width. I've seen people, plug in a formula, and because the resulting number is too big, the column looks like this with the number signs in it. We've all been there, we've all done it. This is a column width problem. Notice the columns are bigger, smaller, larger. Notice I've got a wide one, a narrower, wider, 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 narrower, narrower, really narrow, really narrow. You can fix this a number of ways. The first, and I just kind of showed it to you, is you can come up here with your mouse and turn where you get this double arrow. Okay, see the down arrow, you can select the whole column. Don't need that. You can come like this, you can get the double arrow, and you can click on this and you can drag that column as wide as you want it or as narrow as you want it to make it work. Okay, the other thing you can do is come up here and get that double arrow like that and double click, and it will auto size your column for the biggest thing in it, from top all the way to, cell 1 million, whatever it is at the bottom. And sometimes that works for you, sometimes it doesn't. So for example, if I were to take column A over here and do that, it would size it for the word The Daily Sentinel. No, it's going to cycle all the way out to this one. See how this is the longest thing that's in column A? Watch. See how it made it longer than this, but it accommodated all the way to this? And maybe that's what I want, or sometimes maybe that's not what you want, because you want that text to come and stick out. Uh-oh, don't do that. You want that text to come stick out into here so that it's right up against this number column. But, that's the pluses and minuses of the double click, resize. Sometimes you want to do it manually and just take it and drag it and move it because you only want it so big. Okay, the other way to do it is you could take the column like this, select it with the down arrow, right click at the top and go to column width, and you could manually type in a number. Notice right now it's 9.29. Let's say I only want it to be two spaces wide. Click, it goes to 2. So there's 3 ways to do it, and that's column width. Okay. The other thing we can do with data is, what if we've got a formula in here that we don't want anybody to see? For example, well, I really don't have anything like that, do I? Nope. But let's say I don't want somebody to see the, I've got circulation last year, circulation this year, increase, decrease, percentage change up or down. What if I don't want them to see all the math going on and I just want them to see that I'm really cool and it'll tell you if it's up or down? I can take these and notice I drag across the column titles at the top, I, J, K, and L, and I can right click on these and come down and I can hit hide. And poof, they're gone. Okay? The math still works because column M is dependent upon, look, it even tells you in the formula, if J7 equals 0. Well, where's J? There's no J. Here's the giveaway. When your column letters skip from H to M, you know something's missing. Where'd they go? You know you have hidden columns at that point. So you can click on H, drag over to M, right click, unhide, columns I, J, K, and L, they come back, and everybody's happy. So you can hide and unhide things that way. If you use cell protection, which is always a good idea, in the cell protection you can let them or block them from formatting columns, which means resizing them or unhiding them. So if you hide columns and you lock your cells down, you lock your worksheet down for protection, they can't unhide that and bring it back. Even if they know, because the numbers are, oops, I'll come back to that in a second. So even if they know that the I, J, K, and L are missing, and you protect the worksheet, they can't come up here and unhide them. Notice it's grayed out. So you save yourself from that. They can't come play with that. Okay? Okay, I just did something really cool, and I'm going to show you. Remember when we were doing resizing columns? I neglected to tell you a minor thing. And this is a good and a bad. Double-edged sword. With great power comes great responsibility, sort of thing. Notice these columns are wider, smaller, wide, wide, narrow, wide. If I highlight a bunch of columns and I grab an edge and I move it, it's going to resize all of those highlighted columns to be the same. Okay? And if I were to take them all and make them wider again, notice it made them all the same. So my wide, wide, narrow format is gone. And it's because I highlighted all these when I chose to do that. Even the double click resize does all of them, but notice it resized all of them to fit the widest thing in each of those columns. So that behaved a little bit differently there. All right? I liked what I originally had. I'm going to stick with it. So that's the other thing about column width. Now, since we're talking about making columns disappear and reappear, the other thing you can do is group your columns. Or rows. Remember, all the stuff I'm showing you works on rows. Hide. Unhide. Works on rows just like it works on columns. I just happen to be using the columns because that's how my data is laid out. So back to grouping. I can take these four columns, go to the Home tab. Well, it's not on the Home tab, Mark. Notice I put it in my quick access toolbar. Here's these little right and left arrows, group and ungroup. Let me find this real quick for you. It's got to be a, here it is, on the Data tab. Highlight the columns you want, go to the Data tab, Group and Ungroup. So if I click Group, notice all my rows drop down a little bit, and I've created this little bar across here with the minus sign next to it. Everything still shows up. Everything's cool. If I hit the minus sign, poof, just like the hide function, those columns disappear. And notice the column headers go from H to M again. But look, I can bring it back, put it away, bring it back, put it away, all day long. Okay? Interesting, I can do more of these and group and watch what happens. I have a group bar over a group, so I can group some, but not all. Or I can group all in the second tier. Or I can go to the second tier and just group them all and bang, they're gone. Okay? That's what group ungroup is. Oh, now I'm going to ungroup them. and remove those groupings and put it back the way it was. And that's just, again, data tab, ungroup, poof, they go bye-bye. So that's another way you can move your data, hide functions, hide formulas you don't want them to see or mess with, and end up creating an output that looks like a formal report or a prettier report at the back end. So you can do all of your, I'm going to undo what I just did. You can do all of your functions, all of your math, put in your data. You can even have your data input be in here. And then click this, set your print area, go up and click print, off you go. There's your report. And all of your data and your dirty laundry, so to speak, is gone. Okay, so freeze panes. We might have talked about this in class, but just in case you haven't. This is a visual thing, helps you, look at your data and analyze. Notice we've got our report up here, and we've got all this information. And then as you scroll down, here's this other data, but we don't know, hey, what's this column? What's this column mean? What is this for? Sometimes you just want to be able to see these headers all the time. So freeze panes is a way to either stop the rotation, the scrolling of the screen up off the screen or to the left off the page where you can't see it. So I'm going to put my cursor here, and freeze panes is under the View tab. Go to View, and right over here it says freeze panes. Freeze panes comes in 3 different flavors. You can freeze the top row of the spreadsheet, so that would be row 1, and it'll always stay on. Or you can freeze the first column, which is column A, and that'll always stay on the screen. You'll see what I mean here in a second. That's not going to do us a lot of good right now, so I'm going to put my cursor in column C here, right under date, which, these are all of my titles up here. So right under that, freeze panes, I'm going to hit freeze panes. This one does both directions. Notice you get a horizontal and a vertical line comes on here. Okay, so as I scroll down, notice what happens. All this other data that I wanted to see comes on, but everything above where I had set my cursor, the freeze pane, stays in place. So all my titles stay. And if I scroll to the right, notice everything in columns B and C, which was to the left of what I had put in, where I had put the cursor and set freeze panes, that stays in place. Okay, very powerful tool, very cool tool. And a lot of times someone will share a spreadsheet with you or send it to you, and the freeze panes will be on, and it can be frustrating. So, to turn it on, turn it off, go to the View tab, freeze panes, and notice this is changed to unfreeze. Okay? So I click unfreeze, bang, it's back to normal, things disappear like they did before. Cool. Another cool thing that you can do with Excel, if you have great big formulas, multiple if type formulas, we don't have any in this spreadsheet, that's kind of like one of the bigger ones there. But let's say you have a real big one. If you bring your cursor up, notice you can highlight a column, but just above that you can grab this, it'll turn double arrow. You can drag this down, and you can make your formula bar up here as big as you want in case you have real big formulas, which is kind of cool. The other thing we can do, much like freeze panes, is we can do a split screen, and just below where you change your formula bar up here in the corner, see there's the arrow bar up here, the arrow. Right above that and below the split screen, I can grab, this turns to double arrow, and I can grab this line and drag it down. So now I've split my screen. The difference between this and freeze panes is there's a scroll bar in each one, so I can scroll down independently in this one versus this one, which is neat. So there's a horizontal, and if I come out and double click on it, it goes away. and there's a vertical down here in this right corner at the bottom. Same thing. Oops, you got to hit it. There you go. You can drag it out and you can put it wherever you want. Here, here, okay? And these scroll independently. Now when it becomes a lot of fun is you can use both the horizontal and the vertical at once. And notice these two will scroll together and these two will scroll together this way. So again, you need a lot of screen space to do this, so a big monitor, but you can scroll, you know, the up and down separate and the right and lefts separate. So you kind of end up with 4 places in the spreadsheet where you're looking at stuff, and they can all be different. Very, very powerful. Double click on each of them to remove them. You're back to normal. On you go. The next one I want to show you, definitely you need a big monitor for this. I actually a student in my class a couple semesters ago taught me this one. No, I think I read this out of Walkenbach's book. That's right. So sometimes you need, notice both with the split screen and the freeze panes, I was always working on the same, you know, tab in the spreadsheet. What if you want to work on 2 different tabs? And that's something I do a lot just because of the sheer size of the spreadsheets I use. You can do that. A little trickier. Notice up in the right corner you can make the program not full screen or make it full screen. Just inside of that you can make the spreadsheet, you know, just the spreadsheet itself not full screen. So make it not full screen. Go to the View tab. Go to this one here, 2 to the left of freeze panes, called New Window. Click on that, and I'm going to resize this to show you what just happened. Notice I have 2 of the same thing, and as I click back and forth, you notice the color. This one's active, this one's active, this one's active, this one's active. This is cool. It's a lot like freeze panes, except I can now come down and go to different tabs and do different things. So if you're entering data here and you want to see the outcome on your report here, or you're checking a formula and want to see what happens or pull data or whatever, now you can do that. And this is a very, very powerful tool. Also notice you've got, Accounting 6 class examples XLS1, Accounting 6 class examples XLS2. There are 2 of these open. So if I hit save, close it, open this back up, it'll come back up just like this with 2 of them. So to get rid of the second one, you got to close one of them, and then I'll just re-maximize the other one and off we go. Everything's good. Okay? Let's see, the last thing was setting print area. For some reason, I don't know how students get into this class and not know this. Maybe they've just never had to experience it before, or a lot of times it's because the spreadsheets that you're doing are small enough where they just fit on a page. Well, now you're graduating to a bigger level. These spreadsheets are big. So for example, if I take this one, and even this one's not terribly big, and drag that area, I come up to page layout and I can set the print area right here. I'm going to set the print area for the whole spreadsheet right there. And it puts in this dotted line which shows you the outline of the boundary of what it's going to print. And here it's going to print all of this stuff in here on one page and this on another one. And you can go to some options. I like to do a print preview because my computer's got the software running to capture the screen. That's going to take a minute. Here's what you're going to get on the page. There's what's going to be on the next page. And you can visually see it. It's a very cool tool to be able to mess with. There are some things you can do though. Notice a minute ago not all of our stuff fit on the page. There's some settings here in the page setup. I can force it all to fit onto one page. Fit to one page by one tall. Click OK. And notice that extra column of stuff shows up here. Oh, what did I just do? See the little magnifying glass that this turned into? It's a zoom, so I can zoom in and zoom back out. If I go back to page setup and I turn this to, I'm going to make this 100%. So notice you can adjust it by the percent of size or just make it fit to one page by two tall or 2 pages wide by one tall. If I do that, now it pops up. I have less on the page because it's 100% size. And all it's doing is adjusting the font size based on how much you've told it you want to fit on the page. So if I scroll down, you can see I've got only one line on the next page. Then we go to the right and you can see the increase decrease column and down. So there's lots of pages of stuff here if you look at it this way. But you can play with that by adjusting the page setup settings, and you can change it to 100% size or fit on one page by one tall. Another thing you can do here is change this to landscape. And if you change it to landscape, you turn the page from up and down to across. And notice you get more on it going across. And so you can see what fits on it that way. Runs across this way, the next part of it down, and so on. Okay? I'm going to go back to page setup. And I'm going to change it back to portrait. Click OK. Close out of here. Alright, there's another thing that we can do. Another thing that we can do is, and it's just a view sort of thing. If you go to the tabs and go to the View tab, we've always worked in the normal viewing mode where you can just see spreadsheets, cell after cell, both across and down. But there are other ways you can look at things. If you come up here on the View tab, normal is the first view option, then there is a page layout option. I'm going to click on that, and if we give it a second, it'll pop up. This is the actual pages that you would see. It's very much like the print preview tab we were just looking at. So you can see how we have just one line on this page with the rows that are going to repeat at the top, rows 1 through 6. And here's what's going to appear on page 2, to the right, and so on. So that's the page layout tab. I don't use this one a lot because I like the page layout better, but you can see as you scroll from cell to cell, it makes this jump here, and that kind of throws me off. I don't know, you might be okay with it, but I could see how if you're doing a formula, plus this divided by that you could get lost and end up struggling a little bit. Or at least I do, so I don't use this one much. The next one over is the page break view. Instead of giving you pages, this one gives you the whole spreadsheet. So I kind of like that, but it's smaller, and it shows you here's the area that you've chosen to set as your print range. Here's where we're going to cut off the page this way, and here's where we're going to cut it off this way. The cool thing about this, and the power of it, is you can come up here and point at your page breaks, and you can drag them around and move them. And when you do that, it's going to do the same thing as we were doing in the print preview settings. So I've just changed the font size of the page to force it to get all that on one page. So I've gone from 100% down to maybe 80 or 70%. But notice that when I forced it to be wider, I also forced, it took on that bottom row down here that was getting cut off before. Okay? It also turned this into a dark blue line instead of dotted, which makes it now a hard page break. And let me get out of this view and I'll show you what a hard page break is. I'm going to go to normal, back to normal view. I'm going to go to page layout, and since we did just set a page break, I'm going to reset all those. So a minute ago I showed you how this was going to print and it was going to leave one line at the bottom back in normal view. We can come over here and let's say I don't want to leave that one line on a page by itself, so I'm going to cut the page off, say here. I can go page layout, breaks, insert a page break, and it's going to put a page break right across there, and everything above it's going to print on one page and everything below it will print on the next page. If I go to print preview, it does exactly that. It came down to there, shows me the next page, and then page 3 and 4. Okay, so you can insert page breaks, and that's what we were doing visually in the page break view. If I wanted to remove that page break, I could come in and page layout, breaks, remove the page break, just like that. Okay? So actually I've skipped ahead on you here because I keep showing you these print previews. And in the print preview I am messing with, let me just fix this. Notice you can set this manually to 100%, or I'm going to fix it to be 1 page wide by 2 pages tall. Right now it's 2 pages wide by 2 pages tall, so I'm going to just narrow it up, click OK, and what that'll do is it'll pull in those extra columns that were over here, fit them on the page. So it's 1 page tall. Oh look, it forced it into 1 page by 1 page by doing that. If I change it to landscape, because I really want to show you this on 2 pages. Okay, if I change this to landscape, fits everything on the first page, everything on the second page. There is no third and fourth page anymore. Notice it's got the title still here at the top, so you can see these columns. This is kind of like where we did the freeze panes thing, and I've done something here, and I went and did it. It was already set up on the spreadsheet before I started to show you. So let me show you what we did, because typically I'm going to just real quick undo it, and I'll show you how to redo it in a second. Normally in a print preview, and I just took an extra step, you would scroll down and notice how the column headers don't show up anymore. This is normal. This is how spreadsheets are always set up. And there's a way to fix that. So to fix those so that they do show up on every page when you know your report's going to be longer than 1 page, you want to undo that. You want to get these rows to show up at the top of every page. Okay? In this section it'll be these. Over here, which we're not going to print, it would be those, but we're not using that. So what you do is you go to the Page Layout tab, Print Titles, and the Page Setup Wizard shows up. And here's our print area, A1 to M55. Rows to repeat at the top. I'm just going to plug in here and drag the area. I want to repeat rows 1 through 6. If you wanted to repeat columns, instead you could put columns here and repeat column A and B or C. You could do both, and it behaves just like when we freeze panes. Okay, drawing a blank there for a second. So I'm going to go to the print preview button down at the bottom here, and that'll pop up, and now when I scroll between pages, you know, my column headers stay on the whole time. Okay, so I think I skipped that earlier on you. Sorry about that. There's one other little cool tool I want to show you in the print preview. I'm going to go print preview, and here it is. I've got this set where my page setup is already set to be fit to 1:2. Let me take it back to 100% just to show you another trick. And notice it's now going to be 2 pages long. Okay, but it's 100%. Let's make it portrait. Okay, and now it's on 4 pages. So I think I covered this, but I'm doing it again because I'm drawing a blank for a second. You just fit to 1 page by 1, and it will all fit the whole thing on 1 page for you. But when it does that, it automatically changes the percentage size up here. So you could click this and it's 76%. You'd get the same place. Doing this is easier, especially in my opinion, because you can tell it how many pages you want. You don't have to keep guessing. Is it 80%? Is it 79? Is it 78? And keep trying different numbers to get it right. Okay? Just a thought. So this is my special little video on tools for, you know, looking at data, moving it around, making it look professional on the screen and in your report. You know, setting up columns, making columns disappear, things like that. I hope you liked my video. I hope you got something useful out of it. And if you have any questions, of course, bring them to class, and I look forward to seeing you there.